Hey YouTube, Kayak DIY here. Right now we're actually building a light setup for the kayak. This here is a CB antenna that you're seeing, and we are wrapping some RGB 50/50 LED setups around it. The nice thing is the CB cable or CB antenna already has this wrap around it that you can see right here. And so you just follow that as a guide to evenly wrap the LEDs around. And then when we're done with this, we're going to seal this all up, and I'll show you how we do that in a short bit. Okay guys, so we now have wrapped the LEDs around the CB antenna. We started off by taping this end, and then we started wrapping, and you can see the guidelines kind of for the antenna. We just kind of followed those guidelines there to keep the LEDs evenly spaced. And it runs all the way up till the end. Now there was this rubber cap on the end of the CB antenna. We did remove it temporarily because we wanted to run this up to that cap. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this cap to seal off the end once we heat shrink tube it. Okay, so now we're going to start the process of applying the heat shrink tubing. We currently taped up the top end of the CB, and we have the bottom end also taped. This is the end that would attach into wherever you're going to be mounting it. So here's the heat shrink tubing. So now we have it all entirely encapsulated in the heat shrink tubing, all the way till the end. Now we're going to end up trimming the heat shrink tubing. Okay, so we cut it right there, and then once we heat shrink tube this, we can slip the cap back over. So right now we're using a heat shrink gun. This heat shrink gun has variable settings. We're going to start it off on the lowest settings and work our way up based on what we're seeing as far as for the heat shrink tubing to shrink, because we don't want to overheat it and overheat the LEDs. So we're going to start off on the lowest setting. And we got it on low. Right now we're on the 350, 250 setting on this one. Actually, this would be 250 because high would be at 350. So we'll now start applying some heat. So here is a look after we have shrink wrapped it. All of the LEDs are held underneath the shrink wrap, and we put the end cap back on to somewhat seal over top of the shrink wrap. On this end we have a threaded rod here. We have a couple different options of how we could mount this to the kayak. I think we're going to actually end up probably taking a Scotty type mount, kind of like one of these gear heads or something similar, and we're going to modify it to attach on there so we can drop it into the Scotty mount on the back right here. So now we'll go into the demonstration of what it looks like. Okay, so here is a look at the poor man's fishing kayak. We just decided to throw the kayak lighting pole on it. We actually have decided to call this the lightning rod, and for reasons that you will see here shortly. And now we're going to turn it on using the remote. So this remote has all different colors, and it has DIY options, so you can actually set custom specific ones. You got flash, auto, you can do all sorts of things with it. It is not a waterproof remote. You are going to want to set that in like a waterproof container type setup. So here we currently have the white, which might show up a little bit blue on the video. It's kind of tough. And then you got the actual blue. You got green, red, and like an orangish yellow. Yeah, all sorts of different colors here. Now we will go into more of a strobe. And once we get into this type mode, we decided to call it the lightning rod just because it kind of resembles lightning hitting the ground. So now we're going to turn the lights off just so you can see what it looks like in pitch darkness. So here it is, and if we turn off the device, you'll be able to see that we are in complete darkness. And we'll turn it back on, and we'll cycle to the few colors in between: green, blues. There you go. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video here. That's a demonstration of the lightning rod setup that we built, and you can find all the items in the video description below on how to build this. And hopefully you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, and share it, and check back at the channel frequently for other great tutorials.